My name is Rodger Eugene Long, and my wife's name is May Fern Long. I was conceived by a lady that didn't want me, but they got me born. I ended up in a doctor's office in Clear Lake. They lived, I don't remember, because you don't remember when you're little like that, but I went back and stayed with them for about 11 months, and then she threw me out. Gave me away. Got quite a story behind me. Anyway, I'm 11 months old. My real dad is Joe Cronenberg, and she married him. She would be about 11 months, and she did not want me. She wanted to give me away. So Joe didn't know what to do. He was farming this farm out there. This is all stuff that I've been told by my relation, because I wouldn't remember it when you're that old. 11 months, but I was born in 1933, and I was took up and down the roads out there where all the relatives lived, and nobody wanted me. And finally we came to Fred and Anna Christensen. Anna would have been a sister to my real mother. My real mother was kind of a pill, and she married Joe, divorced him, married him, and divorced him, and then finally they went their different ways. And then she moved in with my grandmother, who had 12 children. She was the youngest one. And I never was told anything about my past or anything. In them days, that's 1933. That's when I was born, 1933. And being born in Depression days. And Joe said I didn't know what to do. She wouldn't feed you, she wouldn't change you, she wouldn't look at you. She hated you. That story coming later. So I ended up, he has one place to go yet, Fred and Anna. They're older. She was the oldest girl in that family. And she was 60-some years old. And they ended up taking me. But nobody would be able to tell me anything, because them days you didn't speak about stuff like that. But I found out, kids find out. I was going fishing one day with my little buddy down the road, and he said, "Hey, by the way, your dad says to tell you hello." That was Joe. I said, "My dad is Fred." He said, "No." He said, "Your dad's name is Joe, and he works for my dad." So I put two and two together and kept my eyes and ears open. I found out when I was about 7 years old. I lived with them people. They couldn't have kids, never had kids. They had no money, ran a farm, run-down farm. One thing they had is a garden about an acre, maybe 2 acres. I helped run that every year and helped set it up, and we had no money, but we had food. So I stayed with them, and probably the very interesting thing you'd like to know in there, I was 10 years old, and I had a beat-up bicycle which would hardly run. And one day my mother that had me, I'm not adopted or anything, I'm just in this home now. And she made a whole batch of donuts, and I put them in bags, a dozen in a bag, put them in a beat-up basket, put a towel over it, and took off in town in Manly. I had them sold in 15 minutes. And I went home and sold them again. And to make a long story short, I sold donuts all that summer. I brought in $1,000. That was my first deal about, what you say, salesmanship. And I just loved it.
May Fern Jensen. I was born in 1936 in Forest City. We grew up poor. We had a one-room shack with 6 people in it. And it was not funny. We had no money whatsoever.
I started school in a country school. I walked a mile every morning and every night. And I didn't start I just started in 1st grade. Then we went on with that country school, and all of a sudden there was 4 of us in one class. She said, "You've covered everything." So we took 2 grades in 1 year. And I ended up going to the people who had me ended up moving to Fertile. They moved to Fertile, and I went to school over there when I was in 6th grade. So I was 6 years in the country school. 5 years really, because I missed one. I put them together. And then I ended up 1 year later going to Manly. And that's where I went to high school in Manly. And I graduated at 17 years old, just barely 17. I was 16 and I turned 17 in April. I graduated in May. So then I got a job in Mason City. My education's done, a high school graduate. I was the smallest one in my class. I was 5'4", weighed about 110 pounds. Little Mike, couldn't play sports, couldn't run fast enough. But I did get a nice job down in Mason City, Gildner's clothing store, being a stock boy. And then after I left there, I went over and was a Globe Gazette newspaper, chasing ads down all over Mason City, 17 years old. Okay, now I turned 19, never been away from home, working at the Globe Gazette, chasing ads down, Korean War, I'm drafted. My mother has never told me that I'm not hers. Rodger Long was my name, but it wasn't my name because I was legally Rodger Cronenberg. So I ran about 3 days before I go in a bus in the morning from Northwood, Iowa. And she said, "Sit down, Rodger." This was when I was going out with the boys at night. I said, "Why sit down?" She said, "Sit down, I need to talk to you." And all of a sudden she broke out bawling and ran out of the room and went in the other room. I went on my way. Same thing happened the next night. Now we got one night before I'm going to go to the service. She's all shook up, she can't tell me. So I looked right at her that last night and I said, "I'm leaving in the morning at 5 o'clock in Northwood. I'm not coming back." I had a girlfriend at the time taking her, my buddy was taking his. She said, I said, "You're trying to tell me that I'm not your son. You've had me all these years, you've had me 19 years, you've had me." And I said, "I know." I told her the whole story. How I found out, my little buddy friend, she said, "And you're not mad at it?" I said, "How could I be mad at you when I got a home out of it?" I never did, I never left home. Now I'm going, the next morning it was a different life for me. And then I went to the Camp Crowder, Missouri. You know where Camp Crowder is? It's probably long gone. Camp Crowder was a layover. We stopped and had supper, big bus. Stopped and had supper and went down here to the play. Well, first I should tell you a nice little story. I'm nudie-rooty, everybody's taking their clothes out, they're all having physicals and we're going into the, you know, we're headed for, we didn't know for sure we were going into Missouri, but we didn't know how far. So anyway, I just was kind of what you say, lost. And anyway, I told her, and she said, "You're not mad?" I said, "No, I'm not mad." She said, "You gave me home." So she just, a relief, a sigh, went over, and the one that father that raised me, he was sitting out on the porch having a cigarette out there. Anyway, I left and it shook hands, hugged him. I said, "No hard feelings whatsoever." But I said, "We will have to get me adopted, because I'm going into service under false pretenses." So anyway, we was in Camp Crowder then that night, about 50 to 100 big colored ones, black ones there, the whole show. And I'd never been with anybody else, I mean, just a couple of friends, you know. And then the next morning we get up and we go and we went to Fort Leonard Wood, I think it was. And now now it's finally got to come out, where are we going? We went to Fort Bliss, Texas. We flew in an airplane. Never been in a plane in my life. We got there in a couple, 3 hours. And I took my basic training and met a lot of people. One little sideline I should go, I had my physical in Des Moines. And one of my friends in high school, he's a year behind me, he was about 6'4" and weighed about 250 pounds, colored boy, the only colored boy in town. They said, "Step back." Turned out he had a heart murmur. He went back to Manly, he went home. And I thought, oh, I think I might go home because I had flat feet. And I said, that one that was doing me, he said, you got flat feet. He said, I don't know if we want you or not. He said, let me get a bigger authority. And that guy came out, and it was hot and heavy over in Korea at that time, and he said, we need all we can get, you can go. So I went to the Army. And that basic training was 16 weeks in Fort Bliss, Texas. Now we're gonna go and find another, I ended up out in Fort Meade, Maryland. You know where Fort Meade, Maryland is, out there by Washington, D.C. So I went out there and I ended up going down on Andrews Air Force Base. Right, you can look out and see the Air Force One. And I got the job of being a bookkeeper. I was a bookkeeper for 18 months, doing nothing but keeping books for about 200 men. And then I come home and got a job with Carnation.
Well, we moved to Mason City, and then I had 365 kids in my room, and which was a change because I was used to 36. And so that was, you know, and then I worked part-time at Kresge's dime store. The dime store, they sold everything. From records to, you name it, toys. I had the toy department. That's what I did. And the lady that brought me to the toy department, she ran it for I don't know how many years. And then all of a sudden she said, no, you take over. And I thought, me? I was 19 years old. I thought, what the hell do I know about toys? I got a lesson in that, so that was nice, I guess. I had, my good friend was Lois Larson, and we talked a lot, and then she died of, she was on a diet, and that's what killed her, I guess. How I met him, he was in a little Ford coupe.
Yeah.
It was a 1936, I think. And I thought, God, I just had a boyfriend that had a brand new car. And now I got this one. So anyway, we got along okay, I guess.
I should have had in there, during all them years I was with that man, and she was a sister to my real mother. I never let them know it, I knew. And then now I'm in, they know when I'm in the service. When I'm in the service, I get adopted. A lawyer friend in Manly got me adopted, so now I'm officially Rodger Eugene Long. And she just treated me like gold. They never had much money, but they treated me good. Had lots of potato seeds. No money, but many potatoes. And I anyway ended up in Washington, D.C. on Andrews Air Force Base, TDY, temporary duty. I got one of the premier jobs on there. I sat at the same desk, the same typewriter, everything. And when I went in to be interviewed, he said, I need a man for headquarters battery and to take care of the records. Of course, you know how to type. I said, I never took typewriting. He said, I want you because you're smarter than hell. You got straight A's in bookkeeping. You never had and he said, you'd be perfect for my job. So he said, I'll tell you what, go home, get your gear, go back, they'll take you back. Come in Monday morning, or come back right away, and then I'll get a spot Monday morning. I had to take a book. I had to study it a whole week, starting Monday, going through Friday. He came in and see me 4 o'clock Friday and said, sit down, type. I had to do it by a book. Now is the time to come to the aid of men. And you ever take typing? Mm-hmm. You know what it is, a fat book about that. 5 days I typed on that. And he said, when I started, he said, if you don't hit 40 words a minute, you're going back out in the guns. That's where you'll be for the rest of your tour. So I worked hard. And he said, go. And I picked up and batted that typewriter out. And he took it and looked it over. He said, 42 words a minute. You made it by 2 words. I was in the same desk for 18 months after that. Never left it. I went up all the way to corporal. He wanted to make me sergeant. He wanted to make me RA, regular Army. I was going home. I had a girl when I went to service. She gave me a dear John letter. I lost her. Lost her when I was in basic training. So I went back home on leave, and it was on leave I noticed this gal in the Kresge's dime store behind the fountain soda. I had a malt, and it was May. And I never thought much of it, so I didn't even talk to her because I went back and now we get out. I'm getting discharged. And I got discharged and I thought I'm gonna go in there. I was kind of going with a girl in that store, Shirley Eskelson, and she was from my area up around Manly. And anyway, I was looking for May because I thought it looked pretty good. And I came around a corner. I came a little fast. I ran smack into her, knocked her right on her colonical. She went down on her butt. And she don't remember, she said, but I remember very plainly. And I helped her up with my hand and extended, and I got the hell out of there. And I got guts enough and went in and seen her the next day because I worked real close by. And I went in and I said, would you like to go to a movie tonight? And she said, Rodger, I have a date. I'm going out with Sonny. I said, yeah, I know Sonny. He's been in here. And I said, I know Sonny. She said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go out with you tonight and I'll go out with Sonny tomorrow night.
I was late for my own wedding. The minister put on his robe and he was about ready to tell the people that I had jilled at Rodger. And so I thought, Well, then all of a sudden, one usher looked out the window and he saw us walking. And he said, well, it's a bunch of people coming. And it was us. I thought, and we had the flowers and everything. And of course, they were gone. Yeah, you can imagine that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then dead of winter. Yeah, and a snowstorm, I guess so. They were gone. And I thought, God, we look like a mess. It's a wonder he even married me, I guess.
The wedding day was pretty interesting for me. Her sister, her two brothers had to come from, I got married in Manly, little Lutheran church in Manly, out in the highway. Terrible day, snowing, blowing, horrible day. I lived about a half a mile away. I didn't have to worry, I got over there fine. May don't show up. No May. Finally someone said, about a half hour, they kept playing the organ and they said, they're not coming. And what her brother had not put no antifreeze in the car and it froze up. And they ended up a mile out in the country with all their gowns on and stuff. And they had the car that went dead, wasn't going nowhere, it was dead. They had to walk in that snow blowing at them, and one of my little friends looked out and he said, they're coming, Rodger, they're coming. They walked that mile carrying flowers and all that. The flowers were dead, the clothes were all wet. About an hour and a half after we got going on our wedding, to go on the wedding, we went on it and got it done. The ladies from the church took them in the back room, took the clothes off them real quick and got them set. We got married. We got married and we were married quite a while and no pregnancy at all. And I got on at Coronation Wool Company and May wasn't pregnant and she was working, I was working. And anyway, I had an accident. I was only about a mile from where we were living and the brakes went out on the car and I hit a tree head on. The engine came back into the, right by my shoulder. And it was bad, but I didn't have no blood, I had no mark on me. I kicked the door open and rolled out on the ground. I didn't, in that truck, the engine was in the front of me. A lot of emotion there. See, we were in a trailer house and I was on my way to the one man first and he came running because he lived next door. And May was in the other one up there. So a lot of emotion. So that night we had sex. Probably more sex than you would have ever had any other time. She got pregnant with Debbie that night and figured it out. That was number one. That 12 months later, that little snot over there came. She got pregnant. Now we had 2 little girls. Then we go 5 years and we had 2 more little girls, Cindy and Bonnie. Yeah, I was a little bit, what you say, hesitant. I didn't like to change diapers. They said I had to change diapers, and I don't really think I ever changed a diaper. I changed some diapers on Miley when she was sick, but not when Debbie was little. I don't think I did. I never changed your diapers. I don't think. I don't care for it. But anyway, then I got a chance to go to Algona to be a milkman over here. And it was a good job. And then I got a job to be a realtor, and that was a good job. I was a realtor for 44 years. Same job. Got out of the milk business, got in, I sold houses for 44 years. Long time. I was 77 when I quit selling houses.
I got Cindy and Sandy and Bonnie and
Debbie.
And she's the oldest, Debbie is. And then it's Sandy, your mom. and then I had Cindy and Bonnie. They were all born in Mason City. I wanted them. Grandpa didn't. And grandmother didn't. Grandmother Jensen, she didn't. Our grandmother Long, she didn't want me to have any more. One was enough, and that was it. You know, because she raised grandfather by himself. And I thought, I'm not raising one by myself. And I had to do it by myself, as Rodger never changed a diaper in his whole life. They rode their mopeds all the time. And well, they rode them all the time. And then they came to visit me when I was in the hospital. And I thought, how did you get here? They said, the moped. I thought, oh my God. Yeah, that was my first business. It's still there.
What is it?
It's a little diner. Yeah, and you had to put the money in, and then it's supposed to pay for the diner. And I never opened that little safe up, and I thought, there must be quite a bit of money in there, you know, and I guess there was. You know, because I sold it to my aunt, and because she didn't have a job, and so she worked for me. So I sold it to her, and she said, and she had it for 20-some years. You know, so it was a good business for her. We moved in Algona in 53. No. 36 years ago, because Rodger was running a milk route at the time. And so, and the way we bought our first house, Rodger didn't pay for the milk business. And so that gave us a down payment for our first home. And they said, well, you must have bought something. And Rodger says, yeah, we did. We bought a house. And they said, well, then that means you're going to stay. And they said, yeah, we're going to stay. So that's how we bought our first house, was with the money from the milk route, you know. So that helped. Then Joe Ringstorff came. You remember Joe? Yeah. And he said, Maisie, will you come to work for me? I said, work for you? I got a job. I don't need another one. And he said, no, I need you at 11 o'clock at night. And I said, I guess I'm done here at 11, so I guess I can do it. So I went to work for him, and then him and I laid the dance floor. The jukebox, we had some good times there. Did you have any good ones? You did? Good. Yeah, it was, I stood in front of, I don't know how many guns that time. But it was fun. I never got shot. I should have. That one guy, he was going to kill my one bouncer, and I thought, you don't want to kill him? I said, I don't want the mess out here on the floor. And he said, well, I'm getting that son of a bitch. And I said, no, you're not. So I stood in front of his gun, and I thought, and he's a good friend of mine. I thought, how the heck did you want to shoot him? You know, but I guess there was a quarrel about something. I wasn't involved in it. You know, but I got involved in it.
I was hesitant to hold the grandkids. I think Sandy would remember that. I was a little bit, what you say, bashful. I didn't come on real strong, but it came. And Debbie and Sandy were both good kids. They were 4 and 5 when we came to Algona. And we were in Algona 2 years and had 2 more kids, Cindy and Bonnie.
I loved them. I loved every one of them. I had 13 of them. And that was a lot to love. You know, and Ben, my oldest grandson, he calls me every night. And for a boy, that's really important, you know, for him. But he calls me every night, and then and Cindy calls me every night. Yeah, we had it out back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I had planted it when I had one broken hip then, mm-hmm. And so I could plant my garden. Remember when you and I gardened together? Yep. That was something else, wasn't it, Chris? It was. We had a good time at doing it. There was a time when they had to make sure that I spent enough money on everybody. And I thought, what's the difference, you know? But it made a difference to them, so. That's the way it was. I used to decorate we had an old-fashioned church, and I always decorated for them, and I would decorate that tree, and whatever I wanted to put on it, I could, you know, and so. Now they said, well, Maisie, we moved to the new tree. And they said, you can put on certain decorations. Oh, that's different. But they have a symbol of whatever what it had to be. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. It wasn't like my old church. I could do as I wanted to in that one. You know, but it's tore down, you know, there's nothing left of it. My favorite holiday was probably Christmas. Yeah. That's when all the family was home, you know.
If you could give any advice to people watching this video of
right. Life,
what would you tell them?
Well, be sure you love one another. That's the main thing. You know, a lot of people forget about that. You know, they just think about themselves. They don't give a shit. They don't. And that's sad.
Well, I just want to say I love people. I've loved people all my life, even when I was a little kid delivering donuts door to door. And everybody treated me so good. And that was really important to me. I wasn't someone that came on strong to people. I took it easy. Am I right? And treated everybody the same. I'll sum it up this way. I never met a person in my entire life, including right now, that I didn't like. And people, even at the hospital when I was having my heart work done, them ladies up there was a lot of them, they said, Rodger, how can you take it? Aren't you worried? Aren't you scared? I said, why should I be scared? I can't do nothing about it. And then they just marveled at it. They said, you're one of a kind, more or less taking it cool and being nice to everybody, and everybody's nice to you. Everybody was nice to me. I never had anyone jump on me. I had a principal once that he was close to jumping on me, but he didn't. He was in a bad mood that day, and he came in and apologized. I was in 8th grade when that happened, so. But anyway, I've had a very good life.